couple of lessons ago, I discussed analyzing a Brahms intermezzo by ear. This was similar to what I did in a course I gave at the Université de Montréal years ago, analysis without score. That idea occurred to me because many years ago I was practicing score reading with a Mahler symphony. I read each part individually, then played various combinations of instruments. After about half an hour, I thought I had a pretty good idea of the sound, and then I listened to the recording. When I came to that passage, all I heard was a cymbal crash. That was an interesting lesson with an important conclusion. What we see in a score and what we hear are not always the same. As a composer, I'm mainly interested in how music sounds. For many years, I've learned a lot about what is really salient for our ears as opposed to for our eyes. That cymbal crash was one dot in a forest of counterpoint of the Mahler score, but for a moment, it was all I heard. That gave me the idea for that course. It was a fascinating experience. The students were all doing graduate studies, so not beginners. When we listened numerous times to a piece without score, all kinds of things stood out that we would not necessarily have paid attention to when looking at the score. For example, most university analysis courses spent a lot of time looking at harmony and rhythm, but they almost never talk about timbre, which is a hugely important dimension for a composer in creating both continuity and contrast. So this course was an eye-opener for many students, especially for composers, in directing their attention to what was most salient for the listener. Usually we would listen to the piece 4 or 5 times, taking notes before finally looking at the score. I've already mentioned elsewhere that analysis depends a lot on what questions you ask. If you're mainly looking to do a Schenkerian analysis, you won't be paying much attention to timbre, texture, register, and so on. The problem is that for a composer, if those elements aren't satisfactorily organized, the piece can't really succeed. This isn't to say that harmony isn't important, just that it's only one element of several, and that the composer also needs to think about how the various dimensions of the music interact with each other. A crescendo with more and more dissonant harmony is a more potent build-up than a crescendo where all the harmony remains consonant. In Lesson 31, I mentioned various things to listen for in the Brahms intermezzo, but that was a piece for solo piano. Now let's look at a short piece of orchestral music. This is the third movement of Mozart's Symphony in G minor. As with the Brahms, if we're going to analyze music by ear, it helps to have some questions to start with. Obviously, the answers you get will depend on the questions you ask. So here are some things to pay attention to. You need not try to answer them all at once. This is just a reminder of various things to focus on. First of all, character. What dimensions of the music contribute the most to the musical character, and how? Is there a lot of repetition? Individual phrases? Whole sections? Where are the major punctuation points? Where are the major contrasts? Pay attention especially to big changes of timbre and texture, since this is an orchestral piece. What kind of texture predominates in a given section? Does the texture stay constant or change? If it changes, how much and when? Where is the harmonic punctuation? As far as the harmony, where, if any, are the important harmonic contrasts or surprises? Can you follow the bass line, and if so, how does it create direction? Then look at the beginning. What attracts our attention at the start, and what makes us want to go on? Then look at the ending. What combination of harmony, phrasing, timbre, and texture gives the ending a sense of complete finality? Then, is there a climax? If so, how is it produced? Is there some kind of progression leading up to it? Finally, take a look in more detail at the punctuation. Are the phrases symmetrical or less predictable? If you think about these questions while you listen several times, you'll have understood a great deal about Mozart's compositional decisions. And that, of course, is the goal here. In our next lesson, we'll look at these things with the score. Now listen to the Mozart again several times, taking note of what really stands out.